Okay. Dang. It's still happening. The blurry screen. Sorry for the technical issue from my side. Aside from that, everything's good. So, okay. Thanks, guys, for tuning in for today. For this session, we'll be speaking everything in English because we'll be having two amazing panels over here. We have Nakib. He's one of the builder, I would say the best builder, one of the best builder that we have in the space as well. And we have Sabina joining us over here. Sabina is the creative director from Input Output. If you know Cardano, then you must know Input Output. So for any of you guys that were gone to going to the toilet or whatever, stretching yourself, please come back. We're starting the session right now. And for those who cannot attend this, no worries at all. If you missed the previous sessions, no worries at all, because we'll be sending the recorded version of this as well to your email directly after this. So first of all, thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you guys, thank you Nakib and Sabina as well for joining us here, like for making a space of your time for this weekend to join us and talk and share about what you guys are doing in the space, actually. So before we start, I gotta say thank you for two of our sponsors. First one's being Toho Crypto, one of the biggest exchanges in Indonesia. They just launched an instant trade feature, meaning that you can instantly trade tokens without needing to actually put a specific price and whatnot. You can just instantly trade it. And also for BitGet, thank you for sponsoring us. BitGet is actually doing the campaign right now. So for any of you guys that are interested in going to Seoul, Korea, you can join the campaign. You basically just screenshot this, or like you screen record this and then put it up on Instagram or Twitter or maybe X now, and tag with BitGet, tag FolksFest as well, tag Utopia and CoinFest, and not CoinFest, sorry about that, FolksFest and CoinFolks, and then input all the things in the Google form that was just sent right now in the chat. And if you're lucky, then you'll get a free return ticket from Jakarta to Korea. And for those of you that are not lucky enough, no worries, because they're giving out 10 USDT for 10 winners as well. So, okay, without further ado, this session is going to be talking about digital memberships. What the hell is digital memberships? We'll be discussing more about the details in this session as well. So let's start with the introduction first. So Nakib, can you do some introductions? Tell us where you're coming from, let's say, or like where are you working? Like, how's your experience building in the space? How long have you been in the space? What made you build in the space, and what made you stay in the space, perhaps, or maybe Swiss ecosystem and all that?
Hey, GM everyone, GM. I think for myself, I'm Nakib. I'm based in Singapore. Bisa ngomong juga ya kalau ada di sana orang Indonesia ya. But I think I keep it English, right? So, I'm based in Singapore. I've been in the Web3 space, to be honest, full-fledged, 2016, but got some stuff in 2014. But full-fledged in 2016, got into Ethereum. Of course, Bitcoin is still the first love back in early days. But I got into hence myself involved in the whole Web3 space via Ethereum, of course, back then, right? So from 2016 all the way to 2023, I was actually focused more on the Ethereum ecosystem, more on the EVM ecosystem. From 2017 to 2021, I was in a company as a operations manager in Kyber Network, one of the very OG project back in the days. Then back after that, I went to do some consultation work, did multi-chain bridges, work on asset tokenization, stablecoin as a service tokenization, and I pivoted from Ethereum, from EVM, from smart contract, the beautiful world of smart contract, into the toughest chain in the world, which is Bitcoin. So as you can see, it's a Bitcoin builder here, because Bitcoin has always been the first love. If many of you guys don't know, in 2021, there was a very big upgrade in the whole Bitcoin ecosystem called the Taproot upgrade. This upgrade kind of create Bitcoin to a whole new level, which is called sequential numbering, right? And then the audio protocol got created as well. And that's when I decided that this is such a new form of technology that I vibe in so much. Because if many of you don't know, Ordnance Protocol, the main idea is to create data that can be stored on chain, not on IPFS, not on a layer 2 side chain, not anywhere but on chain. And the data is being mined directly to a transaction which is hashed in the UTXO into Bitcoin network to the mempool. That means all the data that are stored are fully immutable, and on-chain. And that's when I decided to build a company called Odza, which focus on building a platform where anyone can put in data, be it ordinals, Bitcoin ordinals. We call it, to simplify it, Bitcoin NFTs, right? I hate the word Bitcoin NFTs because it's not NFTs, but to make it simple, it's Bitcoin NFTs, to get artists to come in, to just launch their artwork freely and to make sure that they are safe and it's easy to use, and all their art are stored directly on chain. Meaning, whenever something happens to the art, to be honest, nothing can happen to the art because it's stored on chain, it's immutable, no one can change the art, no one can destroy the art. The only way for anyone to destroy the art is if people just destroy the entire Bitcoin ecosystem. And if people manage to destroy the entire Bitcoin ecosystem, I think it's time for us to quit this and find big data jobs. But yeah, that's briefly me. I'm the co-founder for Odza. Odza is a marketplace launchpad I said earlier, and I've been myself in the space for quite some time. And this is a new journey myself to be in the whole Bitcoin ecosystem. Yes.
Awesome. That was such an amazing career that you've had in the Web3. Congratulations, man. Congratulations. Okay, now we have been joined over here with Sabina Bagu. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm saying it wrong, but yeah, sorry for that. If I must mention, like, can you like mirror the background, because like it's reading from right to left, like your virtual
Okay,
background.
yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
that aside, everything's cool. Everything's cool. So, as always, the time. So, Sabina, can you please introduce us by yourself? Like, I just read your biography and all that a few days ago, and it's amazing. You've had a long, and it was an amazing career that you had. And maybe you can introduce like why you actually finally like switch into like let's say like the Web3 ecosystem, like what makes you intrigued, and what's exciting in the Web3 for you.
Yeah, I mean, coming after Nakib, like your intro was amazing. So just to give you guys a little bit more context. So yes, my name is Sabina. I work at Input Output Global. I work as a creative director in the marketing division. So I work across all of our products. So you might have heard that we recently spoke about Midnight. We've got Marlowe. There's quite a few, and we've got Lace. So I traditionally actually come from agency, media and advertising background. So my career has been I've been quite fortunate. I've worked for quite huge companies, tech companies like Facebook, Samsung, AKQA. And then I actually moved into the blockchain crypto sector 2020, so much more new. And it's been a whirlwind. I think this space is super exciting. And for me, really, it's because of how we've shifted from Web 2 to Web 3. If we think about a centralization and now we've gone to this decentralization, I think when, there's so many ecosystems and community members, and what really excites me, especially within the Cardano chain, is how many community members are coming on and building on our community. They've got all of these beautiful initiatives, these projects, and what thoroughly excites me is how community members are, which is different from other sectors, is that they're in control of the digital assets. They're in control of, think about governance laws, making impact, making change. And I think when we're looking at Web3 as a whole, we haven't even breached to the top. We're barely touching the surface. And I think that's what's really exciting, that either some people are on this chain and they're a little bit scared, whereas I kind of like to see where the near impossible is. And I think for me, like coming from my background experience moving into this, I kind of wish I'd moved in this space a lot earlier. It's phenomenal. And more than ever, I think for me, and I still get very overwhelmed when I'm at events and I meet people, is the community members. They are the core heart of this whole ecosystem chain. And I think you feel this sense of family. I know it's cliche, but for me, I feel like I meet all of these beautiful, amazing people, hear about their initiatives, hear about all of their projects, and it's just overwhelmingly beautiful. And I think that's, you have this support system, everyone can build on the chain. And I think that's what's really exciting for me.
Amazing. Before we start, kudos to both of you, because Bitcoin and Cardano, you guys have two of the most strongest, I think, community in the whole Web3 ecosystem. I mean, come on, like a big applause to both of you guys. And before we start, I got to give a shout out to one of our partners as well. It's MyScale. MyScale is basically they're offering classes, coursework, and all that. So if you guys are looking for, let's say, you want to upskill yourself, you want to learn new skill, new knowledge, and all that, you can go to MyScale. And MyScale is being very generous for us They just gave us like a coupon code, especially for you guys that attend this event. You can find it on the chat. It's called the coupon code itself is FolksFest, and upon redemption, then you basically get a 50% free for all the course up to the next 6 months. Okay, without further ado, let's start the session. So the digital world has been growing rapidly over the course of like 10 years, basically since the dawn of internet, since the avenue of internet and all that. And we've been seeing so many different companies trying to leverage a membership system through the digital world, right? Previously, like you can go supermarket all that, you can have like a scratch card and like you can scribe or stamp it, and then like okay, if you collected let's say like 10 stamps, then you get a free something, right? But then now with the dawn of the digital world, then it becomes a digital membership thing. So can you guys share to us, it's like what's the next step for this digital membership in the Web3 space? Like how can Web3 actually leverage this thing? Maybe Rakib, you want to start first?
Yeah, I think for digital membership, right, in terms of how it differs from the traditional membership, it's pretty much more of a way that digital membership through digital assets, I should say, right? Because that's what it's all about nowadays. It's like a modern approach to like community engagement, where maybe members can receive exclusive virtual benefits, most probably like digital content, event privileges, and I think the biggest is of course subscription methods, right? And I think this model kind of differs from the traditional online community engagement by offering greater customization, right? We have seen many times that some digital passes can be customized and evolve into different things, right? And these models, I think what we can see is that this differs from the traditional online style. Even back then, there are kind of digital innovation when it comes to the membership, but it's more on the traditional basis, right? Posters or just badge and stuff like that. But by using like blockchain, it furthers, enhance security, transparency, it then can be used to foster and partner with different projects or even like platforms, right? You can have a cross chain even digital membership that cannot be used. But the biggest of them all is of course global adoption or global entry, right? The like traditional digital, be it traditional membership or traditional digital membership, it always has one issue, which is the demographics are mainly within its own region. Because it's hard for people to get to know KYC. One of the big reason is they're scared of fraud. People duplicate tickets or membership passes. But of course with blockchain, especially let's say nowadays with ordinals, there's a direct on-chain provenance to it that you know who owns what. And even if someone lose it, they can retrace back on-chain that directly from the Bitcoin transaction hash. So that is how I feel what is the future of digital membership is using NFTs, be it on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, what's not. So the best part is of course leveraging this technology, to create a more like a personalized, interactive, and like I said, get people to interact more. You can get close to people more. So that's my take.
Okay, awesome. So Nakib was saying that through this digital membership that was leveraged through the Web3 space, it becomes not only as a membership only thing. So it becomes more than just a membership, in which that it previously, because we were talking about digital membership, and it's mostly like geo located stuff, or like it's location gated kind of thing. Because like I said, as a brand is only limited to a certain country, let's say, or certain region. But now using Web3 technology, then it can go further than the boundaries of a country. It can go global and all that. Okay, amazing. And you touched a really good point regarding that. It's eventually bigger than a digital membership. It's actually a digital asset. We'll get back to that after this. Sabina, anything you want to add, perhaps?
Yes, I was going to say, I mean, other than the fact that it is a decentralized space, I mean, we look at tokenization, we look at monetization, we look at NFT. I think the beauty about this space when we look at digital assets is, you have this unique IP, we can't be replicating. You're kind of protecting every community member. And I think when we're thinking about governance as well, I think governance is key part of what we see in the Web3 space, which we don't get in other sectors, is that we as a community, if we have our own digital assets, we can vote, and the community have the power. And I think that's something so unique you wouldn't get necessarily if you're thinking about the Web2 sector and you're looking at other sectors. So, you build this sense of ecosystems. I mean, at Input Output, we talk a lot about how our ecosystem maps is a key factor to the chain. Without the ecosystem maps and different methods, we don't have anything. The community is what drives us. So I think when you're looking at digital assets, you've got this space where you can own, and I can create, X amount of NFTs. I have this uniqueness that no one else can be able to replicate. It's protected because of the chain. But then at the same time, I can have a governance where I can bring a party together, or we can vote and make change. And when you're bringing people in the journey, I mean, essentially it's the people that brings it forward. And when we're thinking about I think Anukip kind of answered quite a lot of the stuff, but when you're thinking about unique individual like digital membership, and you're thinking about engagement, and there is a much more unique perspective in how we engage. The community member, you feel much more closer in this unit, and I think that's a key thing. You feel, like I keep saying, we feel like we're in this special club or this family where you feel connected, and that I think is a much more powerful thing. I mean, the ride is not necessarily easy. We've got currently going through a bear market, so it's like how we still going to look at the future moving forward. So yeah, I feel like the space is there is so much more, and I think it's just the community aspect for me is a key factor, and building those ecosystem maps.
Amazing. I was about to go back to the digital asset thing, but then you just explained everything about the digital assets. Like, yeah, you touched a really good point regarding the ownership. Like, because previously, like if you're going to like the Web2, those like scratch card thing again, like stamp cards, like, or let's say like you go to like what is it, like you're flying and you get those miles, right? Like those miles, and like if you're not using it, or like somehow like I don't know, like you disregard the terms and condition, then it can basically cancel and all that. But with NFTs or like digital assets, then it's yours, and nobody can revoke that thing. Nobody can take that away from you guys, and that's amazing. I mean, that's something that was never been there before, but it should have been there before. And now with the NFT and all that, like ordinals as well, it's basically unlocking that and giving the power back to us again. So okay, let's move forward. So Sabina just now mentioned a really good point regarding community, right? So we've been in this space, like in the Web3 space, we know that community is a huge part of Web3, right? And it's also been the case where people have been talking about the community marketing and stuff and all that. Can you guys maybe Sabina can start first. Can you elaborate a bit more on like how community marketing is, or like how to foster, like how this NFT thing foster a closer, more stronger bonds between community, and how can like projects leverage these communities to become a better counterparties, let's say, compared to like their Web2 side?
So I can just speak for how Input Output work with our community members. So we have a department that work closely with the community members, and we actually use the key community members to be advocates. So bringing them on to talks, we bring them on when we're having new initiatives, and we get some feedback. And I think that's a key part that I think a lot of people don't, we're doing product launches. We don't just do a product launch and come up with something out of thin air. We actually go into the dev market. If you've looked recently, we announced Midnight, for example, and we had an exclusive DevNet where only, I think it was 100 community members could join. So we were actually getting the input from the community members, making sure that they were part of it. That is why it's so important to leverage the community members. Without them, we can't really move forward. So these are like prime examples. Other things that we tend to do, I mean, we've got a 360 segment where we go around and talk to community members, hear what they're doing. We are in close sync, making sure that every month we are there having those conversations with them. Of course, we do conferences. During our conferences, we go out and talk to them. There is a huge more initiatives for 2024 that we're going to be leveraging more, where we want to bring the community members to share the inputs and the creation that they're doing in this blockchain space. I mean, some of the stuff, the code that they're creating, because it's an open source, it's amazing, because really they're the ones that are allowing us to kind of move forward. And without that, like I always say, without the community, we are no one, you know, and that is a key part, fundamental out of all of this. And we have ongoing initiatives. I mean, I get a lot of people messaging me on all the different platforms like, oh, I'm doing this. And, you know, recently someone reached out from Brazil and they've got a community network and they've been working on this for a year. And it's phenomenal with the amount of growth they have. I think they had about 11K people that follow them. And I was like, yeah, like, let's just jump on a call when I'm free and let's just chat. And then we're always open. I think that's the other thing. We're always open to listen to the community members, hear what they want, because without knowing what they want, we necessarily don't know what the future is. So I think for us at Input Output, community is a huge part of who we are. They are the one that is made us here in reality, and they hold a strong importance in a lot of the stuff we do. We try and developers as well, like leverage a lot of the developer inputs and get them to test the tools, break the tools, like really give us the input for us to be able to improve moving forward.
Amazing. It's refreshing, honestly, like seeing such a huge blockchain ecosystem, and like you guys are still engaged, actively engaging with the communities. You listen to them, you talk with them, you reciprocate basically with them. All right. So Naki, can you share a little bit like on how, like, I mean, I know that Bitcoin is very strong with this community, ordinals as well. I mean, orders are as well, right? I mean, you guys just held the first ordinal summit basically this year back in Singapore. It was in September, right? And it was amazing. Like, can you let's share a little bit of your secret recipe, perhaps, like on how to build like a strong community and how to leverage that, honestly.
So the beauty of, just to further before I touch on that, I just want to further kind of amplify what Sabina mentioned, right? Like, one thing people need to understand, that Web3 companies is a whole different ballgame than Web2 companies, in the sense that how you build your business. In Web2 projects or companies, you know, you focus on product market fit, you focus on this, you focus on that, and then you do A/B testing, you test it out in the community and stuff like that. But for Web3, it's a whole different thing. You listen to what the community is in need, and then you try to build around it, because that's how empowered the Web3 are. The communities are the pillar of every project in Web3, right? You need to find the right community as well. That is key, right? Not just spamming, paying thousands of dollars on marketing bots and stuff like that to get bots or to get toxic people and stuff like that. You do not want this kind of community. You want a community that can help you grow, have a base of a strong pillar. They do, so that they don't FUD you, they don't fade you, they keep pushing and supporting you, right? That is the key. And that's the reason how I grew Odza. We just started in September, to be honest. Actually, we started way earlier building, and then September is when we actually do our beta launch, and from there we grew. We create a product that is based on what the community wants. So Audience Protocol is a very, very new technology that just got implemented this in February, right? And I was into it. I was trying to understand more, and I decided to build a platform based on a lot of feedback from the community, right? And that's where Odza grew so fast, because we actually built based on what the community wants. That is the essence of what Bitcoin is all about, or I should say Web3 is all about, right? And because I keep a strong ethos, because the last email that Satoshi sent was, more work needs to be done. And I keep that to heart, meaning that this ecosystem, or this whole Web3 space, is never done, right? Until people don't talk about crypto, people don't talk about Bitcoin, people just use it not caring. Like how people use Google. Google is a big data system. Back then, big data was all the hype, and people was like, oh, big data, this, data, that, blah, blah, blah. But now people just go to Google and search. They don't go like, they go click F12, inspect how this works and stuff. No, right? So that is key for us to grow. And how I built my community is based around, how big my project is based on what the community feedback. That make it leapfrog. And then through it, thankfully enough, last few months, I signed a big MOU partnership with the Bali Denpasar government as well. And that kind of leapfrog Odza to the next level. The first scale project to actually onboard the government and to the ordinals ecosystem, the first project government to use ordinals. And that's to touch on that, how I built my community to be able to create the first ever biggest Asia conference for ordinals, is from this aspect. The rule is to listen, listen and listen. But remember, listen on the good ones. Don't listen on nitty-picky guys that just want to shield their own stuff so that they can do some stuff. No, only listen in a mass, find a common ground and build around that based on that point. And that's what for me is all about, building a community. But the beauty of now in Web3, one thing people miss out is partnering with the right projects to grow your community with, right? Even if they're competitors, find a way, find an angle. Web3 is still so small. It's less than what 10% of the entire Web2 space as whole, I think, right? And you should try to find a way, even your competitors, to work together. That's what I've been doing as well. Like for example, if you right now we're talking about digital membership, right? There are a lot of different projects doing digital membership, and some of them are very exclusive. For example, like Ordinals Code, they only invite people of a certain level, founders, because they want to keep it exclusive for the partners and to work together or to share alpha together. And you need to find a way to how to get in touch with them, like what I did, work with them, partner with them, and grow the community on a different level, right? So that's how I feel that people, the I wouldn't say it's a source for success, because each of your own kind of their own style, but for me it has been working for me very well.
I see.
Yes.
So if you can summarize that, then it's basically like build a freaking community, listen to the proper guys, listen to the good guys, like don't listen to those nitpicky ones, and then collaborate, do partnerships with the other guys. Like even though like you guys are competitors or whatsoever, the space is still too small to start a competition with. Amazing, amazing. Okay, going back to the digital membership, like what you guys said, like digital asset, right? So one of the things that's been an issue in the space is that since it's called a digital asset, people are putting values into it. Values as in like a financial, like a monetary values into it, right? So one thing that I want to ask you guys is that how do you guys, let's say, like keep the same amount of values, or let's say like keep adding values into it, or like I don't know, like I mean, it's just in layman terms, like how to keep the floor price. Like just in layman terms, like for the audience and all that. But I mean, like you guys, I'm pretty sure you guys want to get away. I mean, like how to keep adding values into the, how to keep like the value stays there, like it doesn't like dilute the values to the community members and all that. How does it work for you guys? Maybe you can start first.
Man, this is a really tough question, right? Like no,
I mean, just give us your personal.
I
There's no right
understand.
or wrong, right?
I know there's no right or wrong, but it's all I'm saying is, okay, the proper way to answer this is, actually in this space there's no way for you to hold a value of your asset unless you own most of it, which means you are a scam. Sorry for being blunt, right? But it is what it is, right?
I like this.
That,
I like
yeah.
this.
Because if you are really truly Web3, right, it's all about, giving a lot, let the community holds the power. Then dictate you based on the community values, right? And so if for me, right, the best way to retain the value is actually to retain the growth of your asset based on the growth of your community, right? For example, because in that way, if the asset value falls, they can't blame you. They have to blame themselves. And they have to go point finger like the Spider-Man meme, like you. But but no one will blame themselves, because then they will go like, oh yeah, let we will just hold and support like for example, like crypto punks, all this, and they don't really have a company, but it's purely narrative driven by the community, right? And it's still holding one of the strong values. So if we talk about how to hold a value of an asset, hold the value of your community first. That is my take. Yeah.
I see. So basically, instead of like growing those the tangible values, grow the intangible ones. Make the intangible so powerful that it offset basically the man's and all that.
Yes, because when you grow the community, when you grow the like it's like an like you'll be autopilot trying to build something that the community wants.
Yes.
When you build something the community wants, you create the hype continuously, When you create the hype continuously, the community will shield you, right? They will start creating FOMO in the space. They will do this, and then your value goes up, right? We don't talk about bull market comes, everything goes up. That is just how the market works. But we talk about the operation aspect of it. It's all about building what is cool as well. Like if you have a new innovation in something and you think no one has done it, you should not share the community but surprise them. That's something else I want to share. Because if you share something that you want to build that is not done, the community will talk about it, other competitors will pick it up and you build it and you lose. So you have to have a very strong balance as well. Listen to what the community wants and build around it, but at the same time you need to have a team that research something different to further hype up the product and the value of the asset. That's all. Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. By the way, for any of you guys that is attending this, like if you feel free to submit any questions, and also like we'll be going to questions in a moment. So please feel free to submit it, and as we go, we'll answer those questions as well. Sabina, perhaps your take?
Yes, I mean, it's such a tough question. I agree. You can't really put value to it. I'll just give a prime example. When we think about collectibles, you know, not in the Web3 space, but just think about old times when people collected, like it always added value over time. You weren't investing for a short-term gain. And I think that's the thing you need to think about when you look at the NFT space, or if you're purchasing stuff. One thing, and just give an example with one of our partners in terms of working on this blockchain space, is Clay Nation, and they have a brilliant art fan base where they have these amazing cool characters, and the momentum of people wanting to trade and wanting to collect their collectibles and having their own set, that momentum and building that strong leverage of community, which Nakeeb had just mentioned earlier, is a key factor, because the more you can build that community, the more there's a hunger for it, the more the people want it. I mean, that's where you're thinking about the long-term goal. You know, if you're thinking of a short-term, like, oh, I just want to invest and get something, get out, like that's not how you should look at it. I mean, I always say, you know, invest smartly, invest because you care about the community, invest because it really adds value. Don't look at this gain of, oh, I just want to come in to cash out and cash in. I mean, it's phenomenal that people are trading, and monetization is a key thing. I mean, people are just can't, I mean, it's purely, I mean, tomorrow we can come up with something and it suddenly could boom, and then suddenly people will be trading at a really high peak, and then something happens and it goes down, and then people are like, did that not work? But it's the community that has that faith and belief to think, actually, we're going to go past this and think about the next space. Or, you know, I've got something so unique from an art digital perspective. It's a unique code. It's only my NFT. I've got this first phase of collectibles, and now I'm going to look for 2024 is going to be the next one. And then as you start getting this, it naturally adds more value, because you might want to go back and be like, oh, I want to get the one from 2017, and when, you know, things hadn't gone big, and, you know, what's the value of that? And that is the power of it. It is the community members, and it's that build of the more people want it, the more people want something, the value naturally increases, because it's the case of everyone wants it. And it's like, how do I get those very niche things? You know, every assets we look in this space is it's unique. You know, you can't replicate it. You've got our unique ID against it, and I think that's the thing, that's a key one. So I mean, given Clay Nation as my part, as one of them, I mean, my good friend Lena from Clay Nation, so I'm just always amazed by their community, and it's just a phenomenal thing. And that sense of like I always say, community and family is such a key thing, because I think it honors quite a lot of the stuff together.
Amazing. So as you guys, all of these guys in attendees, as you guys heard, like, it's all about community, like build a strong one, build an engaging community, build a proper community. But then it begs the question again. So if you're talking about digital memberships and all that, right? It's like digital assets. We're building a strong community around these digital assets, like, or it's like a goal, a vision, right? How do you guys distribute these digital memberships to the guys that you mentor? Like, is there, like I said, like you're distributing a digital membership, like for artists. Like, of course, you're still giving it to artists. You're not going to give it to like a businessman. Like, you're giving it to the artist. Well, like the other way around. Like, if it's a digital membership, let's say for like a high network individual, or like ultra high network guys, like you'll be giving it to them. Like, you won't be giving it out to like those nobodies and all that. Like, how do you guys manage to do so and build a strong community? Because like, as we know, that there's so many speculative aspect that's going around this space, especially like if you, I mean, both tokens and NFTs or all that, right? Like, how do you distribute these tokens direct to the correct target? Sabina, maybe you want to go first?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, we work with a lot of community members, and each community member has a tribe lead, so a community lead, for example, and we work closely with them, who will be able to give us, you know, some. I mean, you're never going to know. I mean, we might end up work with a community member, and they may technically turn out to be a scam, right? We never know, but I would hope to say that we have built enough connection and that relationship of trust, and I think that's a key thing. You know, we talk about community, we talk about building, you know, we're on this network, but without that trust, you're not going to get there. So I think for us, it's always been working with those core leads across the world. I mean, everyone's building, and, you know, we're constantly evolving, and based off from our relationship, we kind of look to them, and then they also look to us. I would say that we're informed enough to kind of know within this space where we can leverage that, but really it is about trust, and it's about building those relationships. So each community members, and I'm just going to give some prime examples of just certain projects that we have, or community members that are working away from, like, in Africa to Brazil to Tokyo, and all, you know, they have a phenomenal stuff that they're building, but they all have an advocate, you know, so someone who from that community will be the one that does a little bit of the research, does a bit of the data, kind of does a bit of an engagement to understand, like, is this even a safe space? You know, are the people, the developers on there understand the chain, and then we kind of work with that. And again, it is that building that relationship trust. So far it's worked. You know, I mean, you never know in this market, but I think you have to kind of trust your instincts in the sense of how we've worked, and trust the community, because really the community don't want you to fail. You know, it's, if you're failing, they're failing. You know, we want to win and succeed together, and it is a collaboration. You know, when we're all winning together, and we're all, you know, succeeding, it's that prime goal of the future, which we don't know. Like I said, we've not even touched 10% of this space, and there is just so much. And I think everyone's waiting for, like, you know, we've been on it and we're working hard on this, and there is so much more to unlock. I mean, I still get very excited, almost get a bit chilled by where we can potentially go, and I'm always amazed by all of these projects and initiatives that people come up with, and I'm just like, wow, like, my brain is always overwhelmed with how amazing this community is. And I think that's the one thing, sorry to drive off a little bit, that I have never experienced in my career, coming from, like, the big brands and the big companies. Coming here, there is something so, and I can't really express it in words, there's just something so unique that I feel so privileged being in this position, to be able to come and be in, like, the community accepted me to come and work for Input Output. There is just something so beautiful here that you don't actually get with the mainstream media companies, where it's kind of like you're running in a rat race, and you know, everyone's looking to get money, whereas here these are raw people and they care. And I think when you care and you're passionate, that's the thing that drives it forward.
Amazing. So basically, it's the key. I mean, it's not that much different than what you said. Like, build a meaningful relationship, build a meaningful trust, and through that, you'll basically be able to gauge, like, is this community, let's say, this person is aligned with your vision and whatnot, and like, that's how you just think with them. Okay, cool answers. Nakib, maybe you want to add something?
I mean, Sabina covers a lot, but I think that Sabina also covered all the beautiful butterflies and rainbows in the space. Maybe I should cover all the darkness, the dark side in the space as well, in the sense that, yes, it's beautiful, it's amazing. The experience is, you know, you can never feel this experience in the Web2 space. But building a community is tough. It's stressful. It can go crazy at times. And it's really to get where Sabrina paint a picture for you, to get that level, you have to go through 7 stage of hell. That's what they call it, right? Because, like, in Web2, you know, you don't have all to do all this.
Yes.
But in Web3, you have to. What are these 7 stages of hell? First things first, like, to make sure that the people that you trust are not ruggeds. That's why there are certain implementation that need to be made, like, for example, tiered membership, right? Or referral memberships. These are key to make sure that you eliminate the scammers, right? And then the second level is most probably is going to be, once you build something, what the community builds. And then when the community builds, you need to make sure that the content they push are real. So the second step is to make sure you educate these leaders properly as well. right? You need to educate them really well. Whenever there's a new release, you need to educate them well. I faced through these 7 steps of hell like crazy because I got scammers, toxics, ruggers, and then I got real legit people, but they won't educate properly because I was new back then. And then they start talking about the release in the wrong manner, and people start calling us ruggers and scammers as well, and you have to firefight and everything, right? So there's so much things that you need to build to make sure that you have to go through a lot of different things. And for a lot of people, when they are new to the space, they will get scared and they will get stressed and so my advice is before you want to build a community, join other people's community first. If you have never joined a community, don't even think of building a community. That's what I want to say to add on to what Sabina is explaining. That's all. Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you for both of you guys. Like Sabina is basically saying all the beautiful thing and all that. And like Nikki is saying like this is the way to go and not to go. Don't fall through all this pitfall. Okay. Thanks for showing us the way, guys. Okay. So let's get to the Q&A. Okay. So the first question that we have here is basically asking like to Sabina, what about copyright infringement regarding the digital assets? Because I mean, we all know, like Web2 it's really easy, right? Like I mean, you can watermark it and all that, but it's still like there's a way to circumvent all of that. And how does it work in the Web3? Like it's still hard to enforce that. Like is it still hard to manage, like, or it's still that easy to go around that and all that? Like how to make sure this is not doing a copyright infringement and all that, or like IP, intellectual property, and all that.
Yeah. So, I mean, the thing with the whole point when we think about Web2 and Web3, I mean, Web3 is decentralized. And the beauty about any of the stuff that you're creating, you have that unique IP. We are protected in that sense, and we have to trust the fact that we've created a system where people are building on, and we have a unique, like I mentioned, I could have an NFT of a cup of tea, for example. I mean, I love tea, I'm British. So, that is a unique IP. So people will not be able to replicate that. And that digital asset is what is guarantees. I mean, you look at not just within the Web3 space. I mean, banks are trying to all get digitalized. You're looking at where we're moving forward. They're doing that because it adds that extra layer of privacy and security that you wouldn't necessarily get. And I know people are very afraid of this. And I have a lot of artist friends who are in this space who are feeling a bit, well, how do I protect my art? And I'm like, well, actually, you have such a unique code that you would not be able to break and replicate. That is purely yours. And if anyone was to replicate it, you can easily track it with the fact that this is your own unique, it's your own signature. No one else will be able to touch it. And I think that's where people get a little bit confused when you're thinking about Web2 and you think about centralization and you look at decentralization. Is the reason why we're in this space is that you do have that uniqueness where we are in this space where we're adding that layer of privacy and security on all of our digital assets. So I would say don't worry about people. I mean, people are always going to replicate. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. You're going to come up with an idea, you want to try and trademark it, there will be 10 other companies that are going to try and do it and cut under you. We can't escape that in any space we're in. But the unique part is that your IP, the same way you're going to trademark in a traditional way of coming up with a logo, it is uniquely to yours, and anywhere in the system, people will be able to find it. So that security layer that we have in this Web3 space is not seen anywhere before. So I would say, yeah, don't stress about that. Obviously, you've got people, if you look at the negative side of it, and I was trying to think of the positive, you always have people trying to replicate, but we should rely on the system that this is a unique space for us and no one should be able to replicate it. I mean, we've created a system where people are building on, and again, the community does play a big part of this. So yeah, hopefully that's answered it to somewhat.
That's an amazing answer. So to sum it all up, like eventually, like I mean, people like copy pasters is going to be there anyway. Like regarding is it a Web2 or Web3, right? So, but the beauty of Web3 is that basically like anybody, it doesn't have to be like a specific entities and whatnot, can authenticate whether this is actually a real one or a fake. Astonishing. Nakib, you want to ask perhaps like maybe something?
I think this IP thing, right? When people ask me about this, like Web2, there's not much IP infringement. Then I always say, are you even living in this world? Because Apple is Apple. Apple products is worldwide use. But when you go to China, there's also Apple products that is widely used. Some even say incorporate in California. I don't know why, right? So I always give them this situation because they say, oh, NFTs, you don't have IPs, people can copy paste stuff like that. Then, then how is that? How do you tackle it? You don't. Just make sure that people know that your product is the legit one, the real one, and the trustworthy one, and you build around it. That's how Apple don't go suing Shenzhen or China or Guangzhou or whatever, right? They can't sue. Yeah, but what Apple did was create a very strong ecosystem that they are the best of the best. So that's the value that people need to see and adopt and learn what Apple did, and just focus on how you use that to evaluate your IP as well. Yeah.
I see. So rather than just focusing on like this copyright infringement and all that, just build a freaking huge ecosystem, big ecosystem, a working ecosystem and all that. Make it that big that basically if everyone is copying and all that, that's just an added marketing initiatives for you guys, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like for example, just the last part. Look at Supreme. Supreme don't even copyright, right? They launched something really cool, and they actually want people to copy and put it out. It's free marketing, free branding for them, and then people start buying fakes, and then the original guys say, oh, yours is fake. Then they feel like pressure, then they want to buy the real one, right? And you want to talk about IP infringement? Look at Supreme. They don't care, right? Yeah.
Amazing examples, amazing examples. Okay, hope that answers the questions for this anonymous attendee. Let's go to the next one. It's like this is like a really good one. I really like this one because there's no right or wrong, and everybody's have different answers. So I would like to hear both of you guys' perspective regarding this. So, as we know, okay, like Web3 is freaking difficult. I mean, like you go to Bitcoin, you need to make a wallet, you have to understand how this thing works and all that. You need to make sure that you're interacting with the right thing. Otherwise, you'll get scammed, and if you get scammed, and there's no police, there's no one to cry to, right? Like you can get your assets back. No, that's non-existent in the Web3 space. So with all this technicalities, this like having to be a tax savvy kind of guy, a person, what are the things both of you guys are doing in your ecosystem to make things easier or more accessible to the normies, let's say?
I can go first.
Go ahead.
For me, right, that's why I built Odza. If any of you don't know, Odza is like say a digital launchpad for artists, right? Try going. It's permissionless. That's key. You don't need to fill out form. You don't need to get approval from me. If you want to launch an art, you just launch it. It's permissionless. And I make sure when I built this, it's meant for Web2 artists to use. I built this based on what the Web2 artists instruct me to do, because I want to make it as simple as possible. When you are able to build something that can cater to the Web2 space, basically you're already on board the Web3 instantly, because the Web3 people are much more savvy. They know more stuff like that, right? That's where I built my platform using Web2. But one thing that I wish in the future, I wish someone could help, right? The number one reason why a lot of Web2 people are scared of Web3 is seed phrase. Seed phrase is the number one enemy for all the Web2, right? Because I don't know why they're so used by the government holding all their private keys, their password and everything, and holding accounts, that for them to start owning their own banks or their account, they feel scared. Irony of the world, right? Irony of the world. But it is what it is. Because for myself, I'm developing a new technology, a new system where my marketplace, people can buy NFTs using credit card, debit card directly, and I'm still figuring. The biggest challenge I have is not getting them to hold custody of the seed phrase, while I myself don't hold custody of the seed phrase. That is hard. I know there's account extraction and stuff like that, but come on, some people don't even know what account extraction is in the Web2 space. So who are you kidding, right? Don't even know what is social recovery. Who are you kidding, right? So for me, this is a big challenge, but definitely this is one way to really bridge Web2 to make it easy for them. Yeah.
Amazing. So by catering to the Web2 folks first, then it means that if you're able to cater to these Web2 guys, then the Web3 guys will be coming along, of course, because they're more tech savvy and all that. Amazing approach. So Sabina, how's it going in Cardano?
Yeah, so it's an interesting one. So we actually have a whole-fledged department that isn't it an education department. So they go out to the community members and they educate. And I think that's a key thing. I mean, there's a lot of technical jargon in this space. And even the developers who feel like they know it, you can come in and feel a bit lost. You know, we've had, why I say community is such a huge part. I mean, I remember when I joined, I had someone who tweeted saying, you know, I love the Cardano space and I really want to get on it, but I'm a bit lost with some of the technicality because it can really get deep in there. So how do you still bring, because we've got a spectrum of people who understand this space. You know, you've got the really technical people, you've got the people who kind of has dabbled a little bit, bought some NFTs, bought some crypto, don't fully know. And that's why I say education is key. So we work on a lot of educational content where we're trying to educate the community members. We're encouraging people to come and reach out to us as well, so we can kind of educate them and inform them. And it doesn't mean that they have to be within our network chain. You know, we're here as one of the key I won't say competitors, but one of the strong leg within this space, and we try and leverage a lot of our own knowledge. You know, we're a blockchain company that has tons of researchers and we do amazing things, and we really try and educate and bring the people on the journey with us. You know, we're not here to try and gatekeep anything, and I think that's a key thing. I mean, next year, without going into too much, there's a lot of incentives that we're going to be bringing out, and I think it's going to massively actually help the community members, not just within our space, I think across the board, which is something I'm excited about. Again, I can't mention too much about, but I can't wait till when we do launch that, because the education part of it's evolving. Like, today we're talking now, and tomorrow there's going to be a whole new set of things that we need to know about, because it's a very fast pace, there's constantly things shifting, and we just want to make sure that whilst we're still talking to the current community members who really understand it, that we're not losing the value of the next generation who are desperately wanting to come on it but don't fully understand the jargon. So it's a case of bringing that education and bringing them forward to the journey. You know, like I think you both had mentioned, you know, joining community members, you know, like Nakeeb said, like, don't start a community without having been in a community member. Really leverage the communities, because really sharing knowledge is free, and you'll be surprised how much people will be there to want to jump on a call and share what they've done. Like, that's why people are so excited. And, you know, I always say, when you can get free knowledge from your peers, don't go out externally looking at it. The prize is there. The prize is within the community members. You will learn far more within the community members, and you'll end up building with other members to then go off to the bigger goal. Don't silo yourself out. It can feel a bit scary and overwhelming, but it is such a beautiful space when you can kind of filter through. You'll know the scams, like you'll know the scams, but you have experts in this industry who will, if you reach out, there's always someone there that would want to connect and, you know, give you that time.
Okay, you really mentioned a really good point during education over there. I'll get back in a moment. I gotta give a shout out first for the attendees. One of you guys who are standing this, just posted the link on the chat. It's basically a link on how to download the proof of attendance or pull up a digital certificate, let's say, the Web2 way of speaking about it. Digital certificate, there's a link to download the wallets and all that. There's also a link on how to claim that, and there's a link on where to claim it. So feel free to do that. Okay, going back with the education part. Here's a follow-up questions for both of you guys. Like, we know that educating guys, all these normies, on how Web3 is actually helping them, how Web3 can actually leverage the stuff that we already have in Web2, all the good stuff we can even leverage that even more and all that. But it's hard. It's hard, right? It's difficult, and I mean, there's no sure way of actually answering this, but like I'd like to understand, I'd like to listen from you guys' point of view, like how to educate them, or less like this digital membership thing, or less like this corners like NFT thing to them. Maybe Sabina, you wanna go ahead first?
So the question was how do you educate them, right? That's
yeah.
So yeah, again, without giving too much away. So one key thing is actually using brand advocates. So people within the community, members who have been in this space, who've done a few projects, using them as the people to also talk back. So having workshops, and we do. I mean, we try and do as many community workshops when possible. Like if we're doing any sort of conferences, like we try and do like sub events with the community members. We try and understand what's happening there, and I think through that we try and educate as much as we can. So when we're trying to like I always say, bring the community members to be your advocates. If you're going to advocate and trying to educate, who else is going to do the free PR for you? It is actually the community members. When they believe in what you're educating them, like I always say, your community members are going to be your PR people. They're the ones that's going to advocate what you've built, and they're going to, like, it goes like wildfire. It can, right? So if you believe in something, everyone gets excited, and it's a chain effect. So that starts multiplying, duplicating, and infinity in this space. And that's why for us it's really important when we're talking about ecosystem maps, and it's something as a company we really focus on, is because the ecosystem is so different vastly against the different types of projects that people are building, but they all are fundamentally kind of have the same wireframe in that sense. If you think about it, we're thinking about community members, we're thinking about governance, because they can make laws, they can advocate and say who they want to be on the board, who do I want to speak for me, and who's going to understand this. So they'll look to them as brand advocates to be able to educate. So we try, and that's how I would say we would focus on how we try and get that feedback from them and listen to them. Like I think, Nakib, you said this earlier, like listen, right? Because it is the community members, like you have to listen to them. So if we're trying to educate them and they're not understanding that, then there's been a misalignment there. So really we shouldn't be at that space, because we would have brought them on board with us, and we would have been listening to them and being able to work with them, that we shouldn't get there. So I feel like that clear communication and trust and building that relationship is allowing us to be able to educate the younger generation or the new generation that wants to come onto this wave, because you look and see, well, this community is huge, and there's always someone there that's going to want to talk about it because they're equally passionate about it.
So it all goes back to community again. Like make sure the community knows what you guys are doing, they update and all that. Because hey, even though it's Web3, word of mouth is still the best marketing. Okay, Nakib, perhaps you want to add something, or
Wow, I think there's not much to add, but for myself is okay. What I can add is that learning nowadays is so easy, right? If you are a shy guy, you're an introvert, you don't want to show your face in meetups and stuff like that, right? There's so much ways for you to learn. Like I said, join a community, or like if you are in Twitter, every day, I can assure you, follow the right people, there will be Twitter spaces that talk about NFTs, about digital assets, about crypto, about Web3 every day. Even now, I can bet if I Google Twitter now, go to Twitter right now, there's Twitter space happening right now in Web3, right? So, and this is where you can actually listen, learn, right? And trust me, if you ask to be a speaker, or you can ask questions and they bring you on top, and you say you're new, you're Web 2 and you want to learn about Web 3, the whole Twitter space will go quiet and they will cheer. Woohoo! There's a Web 2 guy. Let's educate him. No, let's ape in him. Let's get him down to rabbit hole. Let's give him the red pill. Like, because to get a Web 2 guy, a person to come into Twitter space of Web 3 is like, like a sacred thing, where people can be toxic, talking about toxic stuff in the whole Twitter space. And then the Web 2 group comes to learn, everybody became angels. They just want to teach. So there's so much ways for you to learn at yourself, right? Learning is all about, as much as we, like me, myself, Sabina, and Albi, you want to educate the people, is the people themselves that you have to be willing to learn. Because I've seen a lot of people say, oh my God, I want to learn Web3 so much. But when I teach, it's so confusing. Yeah, enough. Right. And then there are people that says that, oh no, where can I get material to learn about Web3? Then I'm like, if you don't even know how to use Web 2, which is Google, then I think Web 3 is not ready for you. Right. So it's not an excuse. It's not an excuse. Yes, learning is hard, but it's not an excuse to say, Web3 is too hard for me to learn. No. I've met people at 45 years old, 50 or 60 years old learn. My dad now is a Bitcoin maxi. and he's almost 70 plus years old, 70 years old. Yeah. So I educate him. It was hard. Took me about 2 years for him to understand what I do. But and finally he's a Bitcoin maxi. I'm not a Bitcoin maxi, by the way, but I made him into a Bitcoin maxi because Bitcoin is the OG one. So he's old, so he's an OG. So he's Bitcoin. That's it. Yeah.
And congrats, man. I mean, like me myself, I haven't been able to convince like my parents regarding what I'm doing right now. Like, but yeah, amazing. Like, there's no excuse. Like, if people want to learn, they will learn eventually. Like, there's no excuse. I mean, just a bit of a side info. Like, I mean, myself, like, I'm here talking with you guys, like spreading the words about Web3 and all that. I mean, I didn't come from any tech background. I don't have any tech knowledge and all that in my background, but like here I am. So yeah, one living proof, I guess. So let's go to there's two more Q&As right now as well. So the first one is that, what are the potential societal and cultural impacts if these digital memberships or NFTs get a mass adoption? Like just imagine, like we're talking about the imagination and all that. Like, what are the possible impacts? Like, it can be in a good way, it can be in a bad way. I mean, what's your thoughts about this? Nikki, you wanna go first?
I can start first, right? I think I won't talk about digital membership for this. I will talk about digital asset as a whole.
Sure thing.
Because for me, digital membership is kind of digital asset, and the biggest impact is changing so much process in the world have seen. I will just give you one very simple example. In the art world, when was the last time art got innovative? What's the last innovation that art has ever done? Tell me if anyone of you guys know. It's actually auction. And when was auction implemented? Thousands of years ago. And from then till now, there wasn't any implementation of innovation at all. People tried to do VR and stuff. Yeah, cool. But what we're looking at right now is with the current technology, right? For example, with digital assets, right? We take a Picasso, right? Do you know how expensive it is to do a gallery to sell a Picasso? First, you have to verify the Picasso, and then you have to make sure everything is a proper container, and then you have to pay flight carriage, you pay security, everything just to ship one bloody picture. It costs you 20% of the art value, right? Imagine if you can digitalize it in a very high level. You make it into a valuable virtual asset that is real, right? Virtual asset is not, it's actually real. Digital asset is real. And then you change the NFT, for example, Ordinals, for example, instead of spending 20% of the asset value, you just spend a couple of dollars or thousands or just hundreds of dollars to just buy a LG high HD screen and then put the thing and have the certificate up and running. And then you go like, that's it. This is the real Picasso. We have all the certificate authenticated. It's all in the blockchain. It's true. The owner, everything is there. Boom.
Amazing.
You save the whole logistic expense. This is innovation that we're talking about, and this is impact. Another impact in terms of, because I want to try to bring in Web2 values here, not talk about so much bull stuff, right? I want to talk about education. People how many times have companies been scammed by employees saying that they are from Harvard, from this, from that, right? Why not schools adopt blockchain technology where when someone passes, it straight away go to the blockchain, and then when employee want to find out whether this guy legit, just find the transaction hash and they can see all the history. And they know that it cannot be manipulated unless it's some centralized chain. But if you do it in EVMs or Bitcoin or whatever, it cannot be manipulated, right? So these are just kind of innovation impact that the world needs to see, and the people needs to help to push that narrative, right? So that's my take on how big of impact this can be on the normal Web2 level.
There's tons of things it just pops up in my mind, like the tons of applications that can be done through the Web3 and all that. Amazing. Sabina, you want to add something?
I'm actually going to go probably. Let's think about maybe a potential negative if it was to scale and boom, is causing congestion within the blockchain space. So what can happen, and not saying it will, but I'm saying, if we think about like if things suddenly massively boomed, we end up suddenly forcing a false a false exchange in terms of value, where people be like, oh, this has suddenly gone big, so my value of my collection has gone suddenly big, so I'm going to start selling. And then there is a risk that sometimes, you know, as with any sort of things that happen, when there's a boom, people go crazy, and then the value suddenly increases, you start selling and purchasing because, you know, I'm thinking about the short-term gain, but really we have to think about the long-term gain. So it's, you know, when we kind of put congestion in the blockchain space, what happens is we slow the process down. And really, we need to, you know, we think about how we can streamline this or protect ourselves for the future. So whether that's creating something within the blockchain that prevent us, that if we are going to boom, that there's a much more better way of controlling that mass audience. And the interesting thing, kind of going back to Nakia, what you were talking about, you know, having a place where, you know, you can validate someone went to university. It's an interesting one because we've worked on a few initiatives in Africa where we've been working with schools to try and legitimize certificates. And I have an interesting story, not going into personal stuff, but like years ago, probably like 15 years ago, I remember I went to Bangladesh, and I had mosquito bites, and obviously my body's not used to mosquito bites, and I went to the doctors and they gave me 2 bags of medicine, which obviously for mosquito bites, I mean, I wasn't that stupid to know that that wasn't right. But it's like, how do you then know, wherever you are around the world, that you're both laughing, but this is true. I had 2 bags of medication. Mosquito bites, but how do you know around the world that, you know, that this is a legit doctor? How do I know that? You know, I don't speak the language. I'm completely new. How do I know? And that's where blockchain and like this space is so unique, because if we know that it's certified, and we know, I don't care, I don't speak the same language, but I know that that person is legit, and it's in a global system. And it, you know, we're nowhere near there. And I would love for us to create something. And, you know, I'm saying it here, maybe someone in this space could do something where we can streamline everything across the board and essentially to make the people's lives better. You know, I do a lot of charity stuff, and it's something I've always been kind of interested, thinking, you know, you got cancer patients, and, you know, don't want to make this morbid and go to negative stuff, but I do think it's a important thing. You know, how can we create systems to help people? How can we create systems to help the communities that don't actually understand it, but we can create something beautiful to impact the wider community in the world? And I think that's where, like, there is so much vast opportunities with the technology that we've built. And if we can start doing this more often, I mean, those that know about big tech companies, I remember when I worked at Facebook, you know, you had to do a log of 10 years of your history of your work. And I cannot remember, and I'm about to go and find my university degree date, because that's how particular they were. But every company, I'm like, why can't they give me the data so I can keep it somewhere, so I don't have to repeat the same process? And I do end up repeating the same process. To this date, we don't have a streamlined process that I can go somewhere on the blockchain space and be like, well, that's Sabina, that's my IP, this is validated, I worked X, Y, and Z in these places. Don't go check my references, it's there. Yet we're still very old system, and we're still chasing people who have left a company to get that. So we haven't got there yet. I would love for someone to build it. So thrown out there would be an amazing thing if we could do. But that's, yeah, there's just so many avenues in this space for us to still yet unlock. We haven't hit it there yet, but there's still opportunities.
Amazing. Hope this talk encourages you guys, all these attendees, to, you know, be creative, explore the space, be a builder. Come on, let's join hands, make this space a better place. Okay, we're going a little over time, so before we close this, any last thoughts? Like just a quick one. Let's start with Sabina first.
Yeah, so I mean, I think for me, like I said, this market is still very young, but the hunger and the passion I've seen, it is what drives me and makes me very privileged and fortunate. I'm excited to see what everyone's building, you know, reach out. You know, I'm sure you'll share my credentials, but like, reach out. I'm always interested to know what's happening, and if we can support in any way, whether that's through a conversation, I can connect people. I'm so excited about where we can take this space. I think, you know, we got a long way to go. I think we need to focus on the fact that this space is not just about communities, it's about building. You know, we've touched on a few things about education. How do we kind of leverage each other? I mean, Discord is another thing which we never actually touched upon. Like, guys, join Discord, because Discord is probably going to be your biggest gateway to the space. So if you haven't, open up to Discord, seriously go and join those channels, because that is you know, Twitter, yes, you have Twitter Spaces, you can join talks, but Discord is the next level. So if you haven't and you want to join, like, please go to Discord, join these channels, and you will be overwhelmed with the wealth of knowledge and time people want to invest to help. I think let's not underestimate how many people in this space, pure from passion and love and the fact that they care, will offer you that, and take it. Like, connect and network. You don't have to, like Nakib, you said, you know, if you're shy and you're an introvert, like, you don't have to have your camera on there. There is so many people there who make you feel welcomed as like you are part of their family. So leverage that, and it's a beautiful space, you know, minus all the negative stuff people think about it, and there's so much where we can go.
Amazing. Thanks for the closing thoughts, Sabina. Nakib, anything you want to add? Yes,
For me, it's more of a cautionary tale. I mean, because Sabina covered everything. For me, I just want to remind people again, right? If you want to venture yourself into the Web3 space, remember, when someone reach out to you and ask for your private keys, do not give it to them. If you want to and you need to make sure that the website is correct. There's a lot of people got rugged, got drained because they went to a fake website, a phishing website. Because this is something that can cause the downfall of Web3, right? Be careful. Be very, very careful. Don't know us, okay? Us. You can connect with me in Twitter, Nakim_Noor. Ask if this is correct, this is legit. You can connect to LB, you can connect to Sabina. Remember, us. I'm not tired of people asking, but I'm tired for people not asking, and they get scammed and they cry in Twitter all the time. Oh my God, I lost $1 million. Oh my God, I got right. Oh my God, this and that. I'm tired of that, right? So please ask. That's all.
Amazing, man. I love this panel. Like, you guys are basically covering each other. Like, it's sometimes like it's Nakib saying the good things, and Sabina's doing the other thing, and it's going back and forth. It's amazing. Love to see these energies. Great to have you guys on these panels. Thanks a lot. Thank you guys as well for joining and listening to this talk, the FolksFest. We're still gonna have like another panel session after this, so stay tuned. We'll be having like around like 9-minute break before we go to our next session. And sorry for the last question, cannot answer that because due to time limitation and all that. But thanks again, once again, thanks for Nakib and thanks for Sabina, and thanks guys. I'm signing out. Thanks, guys.